Hello again, the Texas Deacon here. Thank you for joining me. My lessons, as you may have determined by now, is I'm trying to reach people with no background in Christianity who did not grow up in the church. And there are many, way more than it should be. We've been very lax. We as Christians have been very lax in recruiting people to Christ. Should be the most important thing in our lives, but we haven't been doing the job very well. We haven't been successful enough. When a person joins any new group, of course church being a new group where you do not know anyone or just a few, it can be a little scary. And with these lessons, one of my goals is to make that a little easier, to teach you a little something that you will expect to find when you make that decision. Tonight's lesson is entitled, Softly and Tenderly, Jesus is Calling. And to start with, I'm going to read out of the Old Testament, the book of 1 Kings, sorry about that, King, James in the New Testament, chapter 19, verses 11 and 12. And the Lord said, Go forth and stand up on the mount before the Lord. And behold, the Lord passed by, and a great and strong wind rent the mountains, and brake into pieces the rocks before the Lord. But the Lord was not in the wind. And after the wind, an earthquake. But the Lord was not in the earthquake. After the earthquake, a fire. But the Lord was not in the fire. After the fire, a still small voice. And that is where the Lord is, in that still small voice. God can do anything He wants to do. It's His world. He created it. He's probably not going to call you on your cell phone. He's probably not going to send you an email, although if He wanted to, He can do that. You're probably not going to find a letter in your mailbox from Him. Probably He's going to send a friend. God works through people. Let me be that friend today that leads you to the Lord, and then you can lead others as someone once led me. And we will become friends. We won't know each other, but someday we'll meet, we'll know each other, and be just like two old friends getting together. I'm looking forward to that. So if you will make the right decisions, that's going to happen. Softly and tenderly, Jesus is calling. I get that from the title of a song. They say it much better than I ever could, so I will use it. First line is, Softly and tenderly, Jesus is calling for you and for me. Come home, ye who are weary, come home. Earnestly and tenderly, Jesus is calling, O sinner, come home. Jesus wants you to come home to His rest, to His peace, to His understanding, to His love. You're His child. We're all His children. Every human ever born is a child of God. And for just one of us to be out of the fold breaks God's heart. maybe this little that I'm doing will help you hear just a little better when God makes his call. His call comes in many, many forms, and you've heard them already, you just hadn't recognized them, I believe. For example, when you see a Bible, does it catch your attention just a little longer than other books and you stare at it a little bit? That's God calling for you. When you see someone wearing a cross, usually a woman, but sometimes a man, does that hold your attention just a little longer than any other piece of jewelry? That's God calling. Listen to the call. When you pass a church, even though it might be some denomination that you've heard not to get involved with, you have a pleasant feeling just for driving past your church. That is God calling. When you see a rabbi, a priest, a nun, or a pastor dressed in clerical garb and you recognize them, do you get kind of a warm feeling? You should. That is God calling. When you see a bumper sticker on a car when you stopped at a red light and you try to read it, usually you can't, but the fact that you try to read it, that's God calling. When you see the sign of the fish on the back of a car, and you may not know what it is, it's an early Christian sign. That's God calling. Sunday morning, when you wake up, 10, 11 o'clock, you have an empty feeling inside, a void, something that needs filling. It needed to be filled with church. It needed to be filled with fellowship with God's people. It needed to be filled with you learning more and more about who God is, who Christ is, who your Savior is. That empty feeling will not go away until you yield to it and find yourself a church. Softly and tenderly, Jesus is calling for you and for me. Come home, ye who are weary, come home. Earnestly and tenderly, Jesus is calling, O sinner, come home. Jesus wants you. You're his child. If I could make that call for you, if I could respond, I would. I'd be responding to the whole world if I could, but I can't do that. You are the one that has to respond to the call of Christ. Listen for those still, small voices now. You will hear them. You will hear them in your heart. You will hear them deep down in the back of your mind. You will hear them in your soul. You will hear them. Listen for them. Thank you. May God bless America. May God bless Texas. May God bless you and yours.